not always. In fact, I don't think ever it has happened in an IPL team that you look behind the stumps, there's MS Dhoni, captain of India. You look on the right, there's Stephen Smith, captain of Australia. Look straight, there's Faf du Plessis, captain of South Africa. On the other side, there's Kevin Pietersen, former captain of England. Mr. Goenka, how did you pull that off?
I think it just happened. There was, I mean, the team composition initially was very clear in my mind. I mean, these two gentlemen, MS, that was a foregone conclusion, and I was actually hoping that the draft went the way I wanted, and it did. And I think we are fortunate and privileged that we have such great stalwarts in our team.
Steve, the start also went as per plan. That was terrific, especially for a new franchise against the defending champions in their home turf, isn't it?
Yeah, it was magnificent. You know, we got off to a great start, and we can't look too far ahead though. You know, it's a great start, but we've got so much more to do, but hopefully we can keep that momentum going.
Let me ask you a follow-up question. I mean, I've followed your career when you played for Pune in the past. That was a Stephen Smith, budding almost, you know, everyone talked about a talented youngster, that great catch, I still remember. But now a Stephen Smith, perhaps the best in the world. Like, this transformation, how do you sort of look at the last couple of years?
Yeah, it's been a great couple of years. I've really enjoyed every moment of it. It's great to be playing now at the rising Pune Supergiants. But look, I think for me it was I put my bowling on the back burner. I started focusing on my batting, working extremely hard, and luckily it's all paid off. You know, I've enjoyed so much success, I guess, over the last little bit, and hopefully it can continue for me.
I'll ask you that about the Ashes and putting your bowling in the back burner, but Faf, even I mean, that series against India last year, 2020 cricket sort of suits the South African team in the current context, isn't it? I mean, yes, not a great world T20, but other than that, bilateral series, rising Pune Supergiants, all falling in place.
Yeah, we had some good success, obviously travelling the subcontinent, doing really well as a team. And then, as you said, our T20 campaign, we would have liked to go a little bit further, but that's T20 cricket. You can't always have it the way you want. And you're excited now for the new challenge, the new team, some new players, new everything. So we're really looking forward to the season.
What is special about the IPL? I mean, what keeps this brand going despite all of the controversy? What makes you guys come and sort of give your best?
Yeah, it's the class of the players. You get to rub shoulders with the best players in the world. You know, you're fortunate of playing with all the greats in the world. You get to pick their brains, learn a lot. I've certainly over the last period of time learned a lot about myself, leadership, and also my cricket. Obviously been fortunate enough to play under MS. He's regarded as one of the best captains. So in the IPL you get the opportunity to do that. You get to learn from the best players in the world, and we're all very grateful for that.
Steve, as captain of Australia, I mean, you've been there, done that. Can you analyse MS Dhoni for me?
He's pretty quiet. He doesn't like to say too much. I think he sort of just likes to lead from the front. I sort of take a pretty similar sort of philosophy. I like to lead from the front with my performances. That's the way I like to do things, and I think MS has done that for a very long time.
9 years.
He's been fantastic. His record speaks for itself, and I'm looking forward to working with him in this campaign and learning a little bit more about him and how he does things.
Faf, as a newscaster, I cannot not ask you this question. Will you take Kevin Pietersen back into South African fold?
Luckily the next World Cup T20 is only in 4 years, so that hopefully that's not my concern.
If it was today, will you? Okay, hypothetically.
I can't answer that question. Obviously there's a lot of things that needs to be considered, and I think he's only eligible in a year's time, so it's still a lot of cricket to be played. A year, a lot of things can happen, so we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Beautifully
left outside the off stump. So that's why you're captain of South Africa, and you're much respected. No problem. Mr. Goenka, you know, given the start, I mean, did you actually expect the campaign to take off like that, 67 for 7 Mumbai?
Well, it was not quite what we expected, but I think the bowlers came out and did a great job, and I think MS had a plan, and the bowlers delivered on that plan, and I think it just worked.
Steve, one digress question, moving on from the Supergiants. I mean, you won everything. Test #1, one-day World Cup, 50-over World Cup, that 100 against India, which we saw. What happens with Australia in the T20 colours?
I'm not too sure. you have any answers for me there? I wish. So look, you know.
Was it Virat this time, or because Australia was still very much in contention?
Yeah, we were in a pretty good spot. Obviously, Bangladesh didn't do us any favours against India. They probably should have won that game, and if that had happened, we probably would have gone through. So, you know, that game against India, Virat played out of his skin. He's an incredible player, and you know, it was one of those innings where he just took the game away from us, and he was too good on that day. Unfortunately, we didn't have any answers, and I'm not really sure about T20 why we can't just get that extra level, so we've got a few questions to ask.
That was my follow-up. You all play Virat very shortly, I think on the 22nd in Pune. What's the plan if somebody is in such form? Like you were against us in Australia. We couldn't get you out.
Well, we've just got to find a way to get him out, don't we? He can't score any runs if he's back in the dugout, so yeah, we've got to find a few plans to try and make him sit in the dugout and watch the guys do the job.
Saf, I mean, when someone is in that kind of form, I mean, what he's talking about, like you and AB de Villiers was in that kind of form last year against India. As captain, what goes through your mind? I mean, what is the kind of challenge? What do you do? Is there any plan A, plan B, plan C?
Yeah, I mean, it's so what Smithy is saying. It's important when a guy is in form that you try everything to try and get him out, because you know if you get him out, the whole team's mentality will drop because they're excuse me, their guy in form is out. And us, you know, similar with RCB and Chris Gale, you know, players like that, if you cut the head off, generally the team's mentality will drop quite a bit. So it is a big thing. It's obviously not as easy as it is just by saying it. Virat has found a game plan that makes him very successful and consistent. But I'm sure MS will have a few plans to try and get his fellow countrymen out.
Are you looking forward to that battle, MS Dhoni versus Virat Kohli?
Well, I think I'm looking forward to each game of ours. And I think we are as excited about any game as the other.
I have to ask you one controversial question. I mean, I generally don't, but there's already a lot of talk about MS not giving Ashwin's full quota. Do you read anything into it, or it was just that day it was not needed?
Well, I think at the end of the day, it's MS's call. He knows how to do it. I don't believe there is any rivalry. I have seen no signs of any rivalry at all from either MS or Ashwin. I see their relationship as perfectly fine. So I wouldn't read anything into it.
As captain, does it happen that you oftentimes, maybe once or twice, you don't go to your premier bowler and we, wearing our journalistic hat, start reading 222 things into it?
Of course. You know, I think the ball was seaming around a little bit. I actually told MS he should take his gloves off and have a bowl, so it didn't work out. But you know, you have days like that where you go with your gut and you mightn't bowl someone their full quota, and I perhaps made a bit of a mistake against India not bowling Zampa his full quota. He was probably our best bowler in the World Cup, and you know, I'm happy to admit that. I probably made a mistake there, and you know, that happens sometimes in cricket as well.
I don't see many captains come and say, I am happy to own that up. Is that a Steve Smith style?
I think you have to fess up to when you think you've made a mistake. Have to be honest, and that's what I try to be.
Do you set goals, Faf? Do you set goals for a tournament like this? Whole country is watching, whole world is watching, so much of credibility coming into it, captain of South Africa?
Definitely. I think I've been fortunate enough to play in teams that's won a few championships, so you almost get used to reaching the finals and winning trophies. So definitely we're getting here to obviously a new team, but those same goals will be there. We want to win the tournament. I think any professional player that comes to a tournament just to participate is not in it for the right reasons. We obviously take pride in our performances, so we want to win this tournament. We've got the players on paper, but we still need to make the play on the field. So yeah, I think we're all very excited for the season. You know, I look at our batting lineup on paper, and it's amazing. Yeah. So it's just great to be a part of that. So I'm really looking forward to the games that are ahead.
Steve, has IPL improved player relations like 2007-8 India-Australia, or even Devi Warner, Rohit Sharma going against each other? Generally doesn't happen anymore with IPL players, because today you're playing with him, he's a mate. Tomorrow, how can you keep fighting on the field when he's actually a mate?
I think everyone goes out and wants to win for each of their respective teams. I think that's why the IPL's been so fantastic. You know, we're playing with and against the best players from around the world. We get to know different people from different cultures. It's great to be working with Faf, and he's obviously a captain of South Africa, and we'll be able to talk about different things and things like that. And I think you learn so much along the way as well. So IPL's been fantastic from that point of view.
And sort of for you personally, turning up for Australia day in, day out, 3 formats, now captaining all, can you have the same motivation for a tournament like this? Is it possible?
Absolutely, yeah. I have a lot of pride in the way I perform, and I want to perform in every tournament and on every level. So, I'm looking forward to participating for the rising Pune Supergiants, and hopefully I can have some success and help us win a lot of games in this tournament.
Sir, there are youngsters in this team. Take Murugan Ashwin, for example, who may have been paid a lot of money given the auction dynamics. Do you think that works? To put any extra pressure, like Pawan Negi, for example, everyone's talking about Pawan Negi, or 8.5 crore price tag, he's not delivering. Does that impact the mind of the youngsters? Is there a mind freeze?
Yeah, I think it's important if you're a young guy that you have some sort of support structure to guide you through a situation like that. Obviously, when you're a little bit older in your career, you'll be able to deal with it better. But one thing that I've definitely seen with the last couple of years at Chennai, especially with MS, there's a lot of young guys that's gone quickly to the top because he's almost playing that father, big brother role, helping them through it, guiding them, giving them the right information. So certainly for him, MS will be a great guy to take him through this period, making sure that all that money doesn't go to waste.
That's a nice way to put it. But were you actually aware of, because from whatever we've seen, this fellow has potential. I mean, he was turning the ball.
I personally didn't know of him particularly well, but Clem and MS had tremendous confidence in him, and Ashwin backed it up. So all 3 sort of felt that he's a great potential.
One question before I go into my first and only break on the show. Steven Smith and India, there is some love affair. I mean, what is it that India gets the best out of you? I mean, we don't get you out. I mean, World Cup semi-final, that Mohali game was a dodgy decision. I concede that on behalf of India. But what is it? I mean, do you like to play the Indian bowlers? Do you get into a zone? What happens?
Yeah, I'm not too sure, I guess. You're probably talking about that one sort of series where it was all sort of in a block of time, and I was in a pretty good run there in, I guess, a purple patch, and it's nice to go through those moments. I guess you can sort of get in a bit of a rhythm against the same sort of bowlers, and when you're in those rhythms and that kind of form, you've got to make the most of it, and I guess I was just lucky to do that at the time against India.
I'm sure Mr. Goenka will love that purple patch to come back for Steven Smith in this edition of the IPL for the rising Pune Supergiants. On that note, I'll take a very quick break on the show. Come back with a lot more with Faf du Plessis, Sanjeev Goenka and Steve Smith. Don't go. Welcome back after the short break. I was talking to Faf du Plessis, Sanjeev Goenka and Steven Smith on their campaign, which has taken off in absolute style. Steve, when you approach a tournament like this, it's a new team. What are the challenges? I mean, do the other teams actually have a bit of an advantage, given that you all are coming together, you've not gelled, something like that?
Yeah, I think a lot of the other teams, their sort of core group's been together for a long time, so they know each other really well. We're a new team, we have to get to know each other quickly. And I think it's about individuals going out and making sure that they do their jobs well. We're going to get to know each other over the next 6 weeks or thereabouts, so each individual has to go out and do their job well, and hopefully we can have some success doing that.
Fat, when you captain a side, obviously you know a lot of detail, you be with your players. So for example, when it's Royal Challengers of Bangalore, will Mr. Goenka and MS get to know anything special about AB de Villiers that they don't?
Yeah, I think the teams have played a lot of cricket against each other now, but it's actually quite nice to find out different plans for different individuals. You know, Smithy might have a certain plan to get AB out or whatever, I might have a different plan, and that's great to see the different leadership around the world, what their plans is. You actually learn a lot from it. So I'm pretty sure MS has got a real good idea of how to get AB out anyway, but yeah, I'll be assisting him to try and get him out. Obviously we're playing against him, and as Mr. Sanjay said, we're playing on the day against any guy and you're trying to get him out, so we're very competitive. I want to win a game of cricket. And then afterwards we'll shake hands and have a drink together.
Very nicely said there, very, very nicely said. Same for you when it comes to Davy Warner, for example. I mean, captain, vice captain of South Africa coming together on the park.
Australia.
Australia. Hands up, sorry. coming together
I'm
for...
also going to play
You know,
We're
my
joining
mind is
Kevin.
thinking about Peterson, must be. But actually, when sort of Sunrisers come together versus Pune,
Yeah, of course. You know, you want to have success as a team, and I think these days, you know, there's so much footage. You guys play against each other around the world all the time, and everyone knows how each other plays. So, you know, we want to have success as a team, and if David Warner's in the way, then we'll try and get him out as quickly as possible.
Steve, let me ask you this. You are a successful test player, one-day player, as in a 50-over player and 20. Are you worried about test cricket? Be candid.
No, not at all. I think it's a great game. Obviously, they're trying to do different things with the game, with, you know, a day-night test match and things like that, to try and draw people to the game a little bit more, and I think that worked really well. But I think test cricket's in a good spot. I really enjoy playing it and love watching it as well, so hopefully everyone's the same.
Is South Africa test cricket in good health?
Yeah, I think so. I think Test cricket is still seen in South Africa as the purest form, and the cricket public, the genuine cricket fan, still loves Test cricket. So yeah, obviously, you always want more crowd to come to your game. I think possibly everyone envies Australia and the way their Test cricket is viewed. Obviously their fans are amazing to come in big numbers.
And England.
And England as well, yeah. So we always envious of that. But I think our game just needs to, once you find yourself on top of your game, we were number one in the world for a few years, the crowds were generally pretty good. Now we've slipped down a little bit, so just our performances will make sure that you get the people back to the stadiums again. But it is, in terms of numbers, it's a little bit of a challenge in South Africa. We also find the same thing as India, that the T20 game, especially internationally, is supported very well. But there's two grounds in South Africa that's really well supported, and it's Cape Town and Pretoria. The rest of the cities are pretty empty.
Steve, one thing when 2020 cricket came on the scene, and I'm asking you this because you also started your career as a spinner, and people said, now we will write the epitaph of spinners. It's batsmen and fast bowlers, yes, but spin, T20, no. But here you go. Kolkata Knight Riders depending on spinners, several, even in the world T20 spinners, Samuel Badri doing the job for the West Indies, Ravichandran Ashwin, Murugan Ashwin doing the job for Pune. How do you explain this?
I think spinners have been the most successful bowlers in T20 cricket. You know, they're a lot slower, so you can't use the pace, I guess, of the fast bowlers. You have to make your own pace, and all sorts of variations and spinning pitches and things like that. And I think it takes a lot of smarts as a spin bowler to be successful in T20 cricket, and I think the best ones around the world have that smarts in them. They you know, they read the batsman really well, they change it up, and a lot of them have been incredibly successful. So you know, I think it's a great game for spin bowlers.
Have you given up on leg spin, or MS can still call on you?
He can call me. He probably won't after the way he hit me at training the other day. Hit me into the third tier twice. So if he wants to call upon me,
MS.
It is MS. So if he wants to call upon me, they're still there. Maybe on the spinning pitches. We'll see how we go.
Against spinners, you've been devastating against India last year, for example. But what is it? I mean, Imran Tahir, Ravichandran Ashwin, and so many leg spinners. So many leg spinners really doing the job. Suddenly we see so many leg spinners in world cricket.
Yeah, it was possibly devastating in the one days, but the test match is not so much when we played, yeah.
I'm not going into that pitch debate.
Yeah.
For another day.
Yeah, like Smithy said, spinners is a massive asset to a captain. You know, I rely heavily on Imran. The South African team, he's a match winner. He spins the ball both ways, and I think that's also a major weapon in T20 cricket. We've got that now, and with the ball spinning both ways, I think it's really important. And with Ashwin, just, you know what you're going to get with him. He's a world-class off-spin bowler, and he's proven over a period of time. So generally, if you have strong spinners in your team, I think you're putting yourself into the best position of trying to compete to get into the semi-finals. And
hot seat, expectations. Do you do expectations? What is Steve Smith's expectations from rising Pune Supergiants? 6 weeks down the line, what will make you happy? Yes, winning the tournament, but what will make you happy?
Winning the tournament. You know, look, I think as a new team, you want to try and have some success straight away. It's obviously going to be difficult for us, you know, coming together as a new team, but we've got the names on paper, we just have to go out and execute, and hopefully we can do that and be holding the trophy at the end of the tournament.
Yeah,
Expectations?
same. Like I said, we play the game to win trophies. And the names on the paper, as you said, it's obviously a different challenge. Our challenge now is to build something new. For the next 2 years, try and have some consistency. That's how I think the best teams have that consistency in winning matches. But definitely, obviously the first step will be trying to get to the semis. There's some really good teams in this IPL, and I find that every year that I come back, it's almost like the IPL teams have improved and you're playing against a better and a stronger team. So that's great for Indian cricket. As you said, they're benefiting hugely from it, the Indian cricket whole structure. They're hugely beneficial for this, and that's why they're doing so well in all formats. So yeah, winning trophies is what we're here for. To come into your first year and win a trophy will be a great legacy, so that's something we'll aim for.
I'll give you the last one. That was brilliant. He looks at you, smiles and says, that will be a lovely legacy. It will be, isn't it?
Absolutely. What more can one ask for?
You can't ask. When legends like this say, commitment is to win the trophy and you add whole team, you can't be happier. You won it for ISL. This gentleman actually has the record of winning the first inaugural edition of the Indian Football League, the soccer league, the Indian Super League. If you can do it for the IPL, that will be a good rebut for the Kolkata Knight Riders. No answer? I'm pushing you.
Well, I think you play to win. But, you know, winning and losing are both part of the game. So we'll give it our best. And we hope the results will be favorable. Let's see.
Yes, winning and losing are both part of the game, but when you have players like Faf, du Plessis, Steven Smith, Mahendra Singh Dhoni, and the list goes on, this is one serious team that the others need to take note of. And if we see the start, a statement has been made. 6 weeks down the line, I'm sure I'll get a chance to talk to these people once more. And who knows, as both Faf and Steve said, Mr. Goenka might be sitting with the trophy. Thanks for watching. It's been great talking to them, and I'm sure we'll keep this series talking to the Super Giants going for the rest of the IPL.